Happy New Year to all of you. I hope and pray that all your wishes and hopes for the new year will come true, at least to some degree. Even better, God sends you new goals and hopes and dreams that you might find meaningful. And I'm sure that God will put people in your path that enrich your life in ways that you cannot yet imagine. And hopefully we will finally pull through this pandemic. The New Year is usually the time when you make a New Year's resolution. Lose weight or go to the gym, read more, watch TV less, take care of yourself and others. And from the bottom of my heart, I implore you, please forget about New Year's resolutions. Forget about them, scrap them, simply do not do it. New Year's resolutions never changed anything. On New Year's Eve, you're excited about how your new life will look like. And 2 weeks in, business as usual will take over, and all that's left of your New Year's resolution is a bad aftertaste and a slightly bad conscience. Give it another week, and these will be gone too. The new year continues quite the same way as the old year did. So, do not do it. But of course, renewal is a constant hope in the Christian life. However, Christian renewal is not tied to a specific date like New Year's Eve. God's restorative power is at work throughout the whole year. Christian renewal is a constant process of growing into relationship with God in Christ. Your relationship with Christ, you don't put off until the last day of the year, and on the first you kick the can down the road, until 1 year later you're exactly where you have been the year prior. Growing in relationship with God is a constant process that is fueled by worship, by fellowship, by study, and by spiritual practice. Growing in relationship is also a highly subversive process. God always draws near to you. God's love always embraces you, it floats around you, it holds you, and it percolates through your being. And if you're not careful, it will change you more than you would ever imagine. It will change you in very, very unexpected ways. Truths that you thought were eternal are suddenly up for discussion. Ideologies and convictions that have guided your life suddenly give way to a broader vision based on God's never-ending love and God's freely given grace. The divisions of human culture that are deeply ingrained in our being suddenly give way to a state of being that enables us to see people as our siblings we thought we have nothing in common with. The only defense against this divine invasion of our beings is turning our hearts onto themselves, as Martin Luther described this process. It is selfishness, self-righteousness, greed, and all the things that put us at the center of the universe. Everything that prevents us to see the world through God-shaped glasses works as a bulwark that rejects the presence of God in order to find salvation in things that have their origin in something else than God. So what I'm suggesting to you, in order to get closer to God, do what the dry bones did. Nothing. Dry bones lie in the valley and they rot away. But they don't run away when God approaches them. They let God do what God can do best. Infuse the world with life, with grace, and with love. You don't have to do anything to get closer to God. God will always approach you. Simply let God come to you. Let your guard down as much as possible. Don't cling to ideologies and worldviews. Be open to let your outlook on the world be shaped by the presence of God. And then pour the love you first received from God back into the world again. We all are products of our culture that shaped us. It would be an illusion to think that we could shed the context that made us into what we are and present ourselves to God as a pure canvas that is ready for God to paint a new vision of life. That is what many holy people tried and still try. Remove themselves from the corruption of their cultural context to be ready to encounter God in Christ in the most unpolluted form possible. In the Lutheran view, this approach is misguided. Lutherans are called to be in the world and work for the world. We do God's work with our hands. And that is necessarily messy and flawed and often confusing and contradictory. But perfection is not the name of the game. Love is. Love for God and love for neighbor. We all are. And all we do is influenced by letting God's love percolate through us. The comfort we feel in the presence of God in Christ, we have to share with others. When you share a piece of cheese with someone, then you end up with less cheese. But when you share God's love, a miracle happens. Like it happened when Jesus fed the multitudes. Love multiplies exponentially when it's being shared. Love makes this valley of tears that often is our lives so much easier to bear. People you are told are out to get you look much less frightening when you approach them with love and try to understand what drives them. And the people who scream at the top of their lungs that you have to be fearful and angry, they look like the greedy charlatans that they are. When you approach those with love, they tell you to hate. Trust the love God gave us to share. Trust the good news. Trust Jesus. God will guide us on our path. And when we stray, which is as sure as the amen is in church, God will guide us back on the path again and again and again and again and until our journey on this earth comes to an end. We can help God drawing near to us by not digging a moat and building a wall to preserve our self-chosen blindness. So again, I wish you a happy new year, that you should begin with doing nothing. Amen.